So we are back with another episode of the Championship Transfer Rumour Roundup. Going around the Championship at this point in time, we've got a load more transfer rumours to go ahead and discuss in today's video. So do let me know down below, what do you make of all the recent speculation currently going around the Championship. We also had FA Cup action going on at the weekend as well, so do leave in the comments down below what you made of your team's performance. We had a couple of upsets going on in the Championship. My team Preston lost to Doncaster Rovers by 3-1 at home. Barnet knocking out Sheffield United. Luton were able to get a replay against Sheffield Wednesday. Accrington Stanley knocked out Ipswich. Portsmouth were able to knock out Norwich, and Man City beat Rotherham by 7-0. So do let me know in the comments down below what you made of your team's performance. But before we do get into any transfer rumours, we will go through some of the recently completed deals which have gone through in the Championship. In the past few days, we've seen Ipswich complete a couple of loan signings. Callum Elder has come in as a left back on loan for the rest of the season, coming from Leicester. And they also completed the loan signing of Will Keane, coming in for the rest of the season on loan from Hull City. Now, quite a lot has been made of this transfer. He turns 26 this week and has only scored 5 career goals as a striker. He has had a couple of injuries throughout his career, but even so, is this going to be the talisman to keep Ipswich up? I'm not so sure. Preston had him on loan a couple seasons ago, and his link-up play and first touch, he's not a bad footballer per se, but he still very much reminds me of quite a naive academy striker when he does get in front of goal. Maybe run the games with Ipswich, he'll find his goal-scoring groove, but he's not been able to find it so far in his career. Martin Braithwaite has completed a loan move to Leganés in Spain, moving from Middlesbrough, and Preston have been fairly busy in the transfer window lately as well. We've completed the signing of Jayden Stockley, coming in from Exeter, the top scorer in the EFL in 2018. He's just the sort of player that Preston were in need of. He's got that physical presence, can play as a target man, and he's the sort of player that we've been lacking since we sold Jordan Hugill in the last January transfer window. And we've also completed the signing of Brad Potts, coming in from Barnsley, a signing which I'm quite excited about, really. I believe for a club record fee as well, which is always an exciting thing around Preston. Brad Potts coming in, can play in a number of positions around midfield, either out on the right wing or in central midfielder or as an attacking midfielder. He can play a diverse number of roles and fits into this pressing style that Alex Neil wants to play with Preston. We've also seen a lot of loan moves in the Championship turn into permanents in the January window. We won't go over all of them, but some of them that have gone through: Ollie Norwood completing the permanent sign to Sheffield United, that's going to be massive for them, and Ben Brereton completing his move to Blackburn Rovers for Nottingham Forest for a fee of £7 million. Obviously, he has been on loan at Blackburn so far this season and hasn't really hit the ground running. I know he's still young and you're probably buying potential there with that £7 million, but that seems pretty pricey to me. Millwall completed the loan signing of Alex Pearce. He's coming in as a centre-back. And then we need to talk about the situation going on around Bolton Wanderers at this point in time. They're an absolute mess of a club with the situation going on with Christian Dodge at this point in time. He's returned to Forest Green Rovers after he had signed for Bolton on an initial loan spell, and then the deal was supposed to be made permanent in the January transfer window. That's all fallen through now, and Christian Dodge has returned to Forest Green Rovers after Bolton aren't able to sign him due to a transfer embargo. Everything going on with Ken Anderson and Bolton at this point in time is just an absolute shambles. I feel for the player at this point, as I believe he bought a house up in Bolton as well. He's now had to return to Forest Green Rovers, and everything going around the club at Bolton at the moment is just a mess. I'd be interested to get some Bolton fans' views in the comments down below. But there were some of the recently completed deals which have gone through in the Championship. So without further ado, let's hop into some transfer rumours. And we'll start it out with the main story going around the Championship at the moment. That is Tammy Abraham on the way to Wolves. We spoke about this one a little bit in the last video, but a bit more information has come out since then. Sky are currently reporting that Tammy Abraham didn't go to Aston Villa's training today, which would suggest a move would be on the cards. This is going to be a really big miss for Aston Villa in my opinion. He's been their talisman going forward, currently the joint top scorer in the Championship as well. And the wages being talked about for Tammy Abraham, currently playing for Wolves in the Premier League, are absolutely ridiculous. I think 120k is the figure that's currently being mentioned a week for Tammy Abraham, which is absolutely baffling. But this one does look like it's going to be going through, and Villa fans, how do you think this is going to affect your season? And the player Aston Villa are being linked to as possibly a replacement for Tammy Abraham is Neal Maupay. Now this link does make sense with Dean Smith, of course, coming over from Brentford. He might like to bring a couple of their players. Romain Soy's another player from Brentford who's been linked with Villa in the past few weeks. So far this season, scoring 15 goals and bagging 6 assists. One thing that I would say about this deal is Brentford aren't going to be willing to let Neal Maupay go on the cheap. This deal will cost at least, I'm thinking, about 12 to 15 million pounds. He's an absolute nightmare of a striker to play against, there's no doubt about that, and he has done well in a fairly struggling Brentford side so far this season, but Aston Villa don't have the best relationship in terms of buying Brentford players in the past. Scott Hogan came over for a lot of money. He's not really hit the ground running. He's been a bit of a flop at Villa. Villa. So Villa may be a little bit cautious going in for a player like Neal Maupay, but there's no doubt he'd add something to their forward line. And quite a controversial transfer rumour at this point in time is Gary Madine on his way to Sheffield United on a loan deal from Cardiff City. Now the reason this is controversial, obviously a former Sheffield Wednesday player, Gary Madine has said some pretty controversial things in the past about star striker Billy Sharp, so a partnership between the two for the remainder of the season will be quite interesting to see. In terms of the player Gary Madine is, he probably would fit into Sheffield United this season as well. You know, he'd be an upgrade on someone like Leon Clark and would probably work well with the dynamic working off Billy Sharp, you know, winning the ball in the air, looking to get the flick onto him. But with the relationship between the fans and Gary Madine being a little bit up in the air at this point in time, it'd be very interesting to see how he fits into this side. It's fair to say that he hasn't really hit the ground running in his career at Cardiff City. I believe he's yet to score a goal for them after a 10 million move last January. His time at Bolton Wanderers, he was doing very well there, scoring 10 goals up until January in the Championship. Can be a decent striker for the Championship. But after everything that's gone down in the past, Sheffield United fans, what is your opinion on this loan move? Birmingham are a club who have been interested in a couple of wingers at this point in time. Aketianya from Derby County, one of them being mentioned at this point in time, can be quite a diverse player, can play in a couple of positions, got a lot of pace going forward. His final product can be a little bit questionable at times, but with him not really being in the picture at Derby County at this point in time, a move away would make sense. I think Wigan are also interested. And Ben Marshall is another name currently being mentioned in terms of Birmingham City being interested. He's not really been able to get into the Norwich side this season. When Norwich signed him, I thought it would be a pretty good move for him. Last season on loan at Millwall, he did very well in the Championship, was a very good option for them. He's just not been able to fit into this Norwich City system. I think a loan move to a club like Birmingham would work out well for both parties, really. Ashley Fletcher, the Middlesbrough striker, is being linked with the move to Hull City on a loan deal. He's a player who I've not really figured out so far whether I rate him or not. I've seen him in a couple of matches so far, and he can be a little bit hit or miss for me. When I saw him on loan at Sunderland, I wasn't very impressed. But he has had the odd game here and there for Middlesbrough where I thought there is a decent player there. So maybe Hull can get the best out of him. He is still a fairly young player, can be quite physical with the ball. And with Hull in need of another striker, maybe he could be their answer. And Hull are also said to be interested in a loan move for Sam Gallagher, the Southampton striker. He's had a couple of loan spells out to the Championship, loan spells to MK Dons, Blackburn Rovers and Birmingham. In his past 2 seasons in the Championship, he's been able to score 19 goals for both Blackburn Rovers and Birmingham. He can run with the ball quite well, and as he is 6'4", can be a decent hold-up player, and so for a position that Hull needs to look into strengthening, Sam Gallagher might not be a bad option. Bristol City are apparently lining up a move for Joe Williams, currently out on loan at Bolton from Everton. The fee being talked about is around about £1 million. So far, he's been a little bit hit or miss for Bolton, but he has been playing in the side, which is, you know, lacking confidence. His work off the ball, I think, has been pretty good for Bolton. Last season, while he was on loan at Barnsley, I was very impressed by him. He was one of their better players last season, in my opinion. And we'll go into bolster that Bristol City midfield, add a bit more bite to it as well. Another player still being linked to Bristol City is Chris Maxwell, but it is looking like his preferred destination is going to be Charlton in League One. Now, Preston's current situation with goalkeepers is an absolute shambles. We've had Chris Maxwell playing this season, we've had Declan Rudd, and we've most recently seen Michael Crowe play in the FA Cup. Where the less said about that performance, probably the better, really. Each of our goalkeepers have made some howlers so far this season, so it's no surprise to see a player like Chris Maxwell currently being linked away from the club. He wants to get first team football, and it's looking like Charlton is probably going to be his destination. And speaking of Preston and goalkeepers, we are in the market for one at this point in time, and there's been 2 names mentioned which have been doing the rounds lately. The first one is Rob Elliott from Newcastle. Now, I'm a bit sceptical about this one. When you're looking to sign Premier League, you know, number 2s or number 3s, you never really know what you're going to get. Preston went down this route a couple of years ago with Andres Lindegaard coming in. He really wasn't brilliant for us, so I am a little bit sceptical if we do go in for a player like Rob Elliott. He will bring, I suppose, a bit more experience into our backline, will be a more commanding goalkeeper than what we've got at this point in time, and hopefully would stop us conceding goals. But in terms of a long-term option, I don't see Elliott being that. And perhaps a more feasible one would be Connor Ripley, currently out on loan at Accrington Stanley from Middlesbrough. He's a name who was mentioned being linked to Preston a couple of weeks ago, and Preston are still said to be interested. Another position Preston are looking to strengthen in this window has got to be a right back. With Darnell Fisher's form this season really going downhill, we are said to be targeting a couple of players at this point in time. Tom James from Yeovil is the name currently being mentioned with links to Preston North End, currently playing for Yeovil in League 2, being quite a promising player actually. West Brom were linked to him in the summer. So far this season, he's scored 4 goals from that right back position. Preston are also said to be interested in Oldham defender George Edmondson, a 21-year-old centre-back who's impressed in League 2 so far this season. Another area which Preston need to looking into addressing, really, with players like Tom Clark and Paul Huntington getting towards the end of their careers with Preston. Probably we do need to start looking into strengthening this position, and a move like this would make sense. Ipswich are being linked with Huddersfield forward Colin Quaner. Now, Preston were linked with this guy in the summer transfer window, so I was interested to get some Huddersfield fans' perspectives on what they make of the player, and this is what they had to say about Quaner in the summer. Growing up, I played football against a rusty Skip. I seem to remember the Skip having a better first touch. Quaner is definitely more mobile than the Skip, but first touch, not so much. First touch is awful, runs like a drunk after 89 pints, will run through brick walls, gets into good positions. With the right dressing room, he can unite the whole team. So a bit of a mixed bag there from Huddersfield fans. Obviously, technically, probably not the best of players, but in terms of endeavour and work rate, he'll be a decent option. Probably more of an orthodox signing for Ipswich Town will be Anthony Pilkington, another player currently being linked to the club. A winger currently playing for Cardiff City. His record in the Championship speaks for itself, really. It's looking like Courtney House is going to be joining Aston Villa on loan for the remainder of the season, coming in from Wolves. This was a position where Villa needed to look into strengthening after Twanzebe picked up a recent injury. Obviously, they have recalled Tommy Elphick, but looking into this position was an absolute must for Villa in this window if they are going to have any serious hopes of making the top 6 this season. And so going in for a player like Courtney House, 23 years old, would be a good option for that. And another player being linked to Villa is Christian Fuchs of Leicester City. Now, another position where Villa probably are in need of strengthening. Neil Taylor is a little bit hit or miss. They've been playing Alan Hutton out in that left back position where defensively he can be a little bit lacklustre sometimes. This move would make sense in my opinion, playing as a natural left back, got a lot of experience in that role. In his time at Leicester, he's had a good track record there and will be a good defender coming into the Championship. And the transfer rumour, which was absolutely everywhere in the summer, was Marcus Maddison being linked with a move away from Peterborough United, and possibly this could be back on with Leeds in need of another creative midfielder after losing Samu Saiz. So far in League One this season, he's been able to pick up 7 assists for Peterborough and would be a good option for any Championship side, really. I'm surprised that no one's really come in for him yet. I've also seen a few mentions with Jared Bowen with links to Leeds United. I can't see this one happening really, with clubs in the Premier League like Spurs being interested in the Hull City winger. I think if Bowen is going to be going anywhere in the January transfer window, it's going to be to a Premier League club. I'm not sure if I can see this one coming off, but West Brom are being linked to Petros Mantalos of AK Athens once again. I believe they had a bid rejected for him in the summer, the Greek attacking midfielder. He's 27 years old, currently the captain of AK Athens, and has got a decent scoring record for them, but with the bid turned down in the summer, I'm not sure if they're going to be willing to let him go in January. And there are a few Championship clubs chasing Kirill Despodov, the 22-year-old winger currently playing in the Bulgarian League. He's scored 10 goals so far this season, and Aston Villa, Middlesbrough and Cardiff in the Premier League are all set to be interested. Ajori from Liverpool's looking like he's going to be making the move to Reading on loan for the remainder of the season. He was most previously out on loan at Rangers and plays as a sort of an attacking midfielder. Comes into this Reading squad, from what I've seen of him, whenever I have seen him play, he was out on loan at Sunderland last season. In terms of technique on the ball, he doesn't look like a bad player, but in terms of work rate and physicality, it does look like he's the sort of player who can be quite easily bullied off the ball. So is he the sort of player that Reading need at this point in time? They need bodies in at the moment. Nottingham Forest are being linked to Portsmouth winger Jamal Lowe. So far this season, he's been going very well in League One for Portsmouth, who've been doing brilliantly so far this season. Scoring 10 goals and picking up 3 assists as well. The 24-year-old winger, it's no surprise to see some Championship interest coming in for this guy, and Portsmouth have said that they've got no interest in selling the player, so it's going to take quite a sizable fee if Nottingham Forest are going to tempt him away from Portsmouth. Nottingham Forest are also been linked with a move for Jordan Much, the midfielder who most recently played for Crystal Palace. Still only 27 years old, would probably still be a decent option in the Championship. William Remy was being linked with a move to Norwich City, but local press have since come out and said that this deal probably won't be happening in the January transfer window. The defender from Legia Warsaw, and there are said to be a few clubs interested in Timothy Castagny, the Belgian footballer currently playing for Atalanta in the Serie A. He can either play as a right back or as a winger, and clubs like Celtic and Swansea City are both said to be interested. But guys, there you have it. There are some of the transfer rumours which are going around the Championship at this point in time. So do let me know in the comments down below if I have left off any which you've seen going around lately. But apart from that, that will now wrap it up for this video, guys. So thank you very much for watching. If you did go on to enjoy, make sure you do leave a like. It is always massively appreciated. As well as that, make sure you subscribe for some regular Championship content. But apart from that, guys, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one.